and then share my screen. So welcome everyone to Emotional Intelligence. I'm Merv Murray, your host today. This is just a taster session to show you what it could be like if you joined us for the full day. We're running a full day emotional intelligence workshop on the 17th of December, which is only a few weeks away now. Make sure that you're near your router for best results. You can use a cable. Nice quiet environment. I know you're probably all very familiar with Zoom and other platforms, so I'm just going to crack on and give you our agenda today. Our agenda today is I want to tell you a little bit about next level training, who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Specifically with the emotional intelligence, I want to give you some amazing brain facts and talk about the brain and the 5 core competencies within emotional intelligence. And I'm going to focus on one specific competency today because of time, just to give you a flavor of the type of depth that we go into on our one-dayer. Did I mention it on the 17th of December? Only a few weeks away.
Is it moving?
The 17th of December, Mark.
Oh, right. Thank you for that. I didn't hear that before.
Thank you for asking. And if we get time, perhaps we can talk about some action planning at the end. We always do action planning at the end of every one of our workshops to embed the learning within the event. All right, next level training. Who are we? We're a social enterprise. Currently, there are 3 of us here in the UK. Mark, who's with us today, Mark Kendall, he's our IT guru, and he trains and coaches everybody to do with IT. I'm more on the leadership and management side. And then we have Darren Spill, who's an excellent coach who focuses on people development specifically. We are dedicated to the increasing the development of all Africans and the economic prospects of Africans. And we've started in Zambia, and we have a next level training Zambia that is mirroring what we do here in the UK. And we're launching many initiatives with them to develop young entrepreneurs particularly, and they have a plan that stretches out to 2050 to raise the economic circumstances in Zambia, as an example. But they are already looking to reach out to Ethiopia and South Africa, as an example. And we've only been going since October. This is me. You all know about me, 20 years in people development. On January the 1st, it'll be 20 years. Certified coach and facilitator, and I've operated in organizations both large and small. All right, let's get to emotional intelligence. So using the chat function, all set, right, here's another trainer has joined us, Syra. Syra is joining us, and you've just hi Syra, you've just joined us for defining what is emotional intelligence. So using the chat function, which I know you all are familiar with, at the bottom of your screen, if you can pop into the chat what you think emotional intelligence is. What is emotional intelligence? Using the chat box, please. What do you think it is? It might be a prize for the one who gets closest to the answer I've got. Lou, awareness of people's feelings and actions and adapting accordingly. Really good. Syra, thank you. Being intelligent enough for others' emotions and also oneself. Very good. All right, Magda wins the prize. Ability to recognize our own emotions and other people's emotions, and thus adapt and communicate depending upon this. That's as close as you'll get to Daniel Goleman's intelligence. I mean, in a nutshell, it's being intelligent about emotions, isn't it? And intelligence you can define as the number of distinctions that I can make about my emotions and the emotions of others in order to produce a collaborative result. So the bit that I've missed out on that Daniel Goleman quote is the collaborative result, because in the world of work, that's really what we'd like to do, is produce a collaborative result. Good afternoon, Baz. Thanks for joining us. You've just got us at the start of things. You are amongst friends here. And Baz, can I introduce you to everybody? Baz is an old customer of mine, an ex-customer back in the day, and really pleased to have you on board, Baz. So we've just defined emotional intelligence. And what I'd like to do with you is I'm going to launch a poll. Can you see the poll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is answer the poll. When do you use emotional intelligence to get a result? Good afternoon, Annie. You're just joining us at the start of things. We've defined emotional intelligence. Hopefully you can see the poll that's on the screen. When do you use emotional intelligence to get a result? All right. And there's a part 2 as well. If you'd like to put yourselves on mute, I can hear somebody's stuff going off in the background. Put yourself on mute. That'll be fine. Thank you. All right. Have we got? Yeah. Okay. Part 2. Yeah. All right. So you've all answered. Thank you. I'm going to end the poll. Hopefully, we're going to get the results at the end there. There you go. Can you see that? You can all see that, I hope. So when do we use emotional intelligence to get a result? I would say all the time in all situations, even when we're just thinking.
Mervyn, I can't see the result of the poll.
You can't see the result.
No.
Share. That's because I need to share the results with you. That's why.
I can see it now.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. So here's the result. All the time in all situations for the first one, when do you use emotional intelligence to get a result? Of course you use emotional intelligence in all of these things. And I would say we're using our emotional intelligence all the time. And because of the quality of our audience today, when I want to collaborate with someone, six of you, 100% of you, when I want to collaborate with someone, really good. Of course, that's absolutely brilliant. And I'm hoping that we will learn something from that, in terms that we're using our emotional intelligence all the time when we're planning, when we're thinking about things, you know, as well as when we're communicating and behaving with others. The research result.
Do we do it subconsciously or do we do it consciously?
Usually it's from. Well, what do you think, Mark? What do you think?
If I use it, it's subconsciously, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because I don't really force myself to do it. I'm not doing it. I don't do it with I better use my emotional intelligence on this one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely spot on. And a lot of our behavior is automatic, and a lot
Yeah.
of our behavior is learned and is rather, what works for us, as an example, is just we tend to behave in a way that where experience has taught us what works for us. And as you're absolutely right, we don't consciously go, oh, I'd better use a bit of emotional intelligence here. But what we do, I think, in certain circumstances, we do, particularly in conflict, when we're trying to resolve a conflict successfully, we do tend to bring a lot of the abilities within emotional intelligence in order to fix that conflict. Because
Merv,
yeah,
it's Baz here. Sorry to cut across. Do you think it's used more as a reactive tool than a proactive tool? Or like that? I forget the guy's name who just said it. I think
Daniel
we don't go into a
Goleman.
conversation thinking we're going to make an emotionally intelligent conversation.
Yeah.
Do you think it's
Well,
more reactive?
Well, I think, people who are highly emotional intelligent use it naturally, that actually it's part of who they are and what they do. And they do it because they know it's the right thing to do, the way to do things and the way to think. We're going to talk about proactive and reactive behavior very towards the end of our session today. If you are behaving in a reactive way, I would say that is a symptom of low emotional intelligence. It's a lack of, there's a lack of something there. If we're being reactive to something, a crisis that we've never encountered before, like this pandemic, for example, that's understandable to be reactive to. But if there are things that we're reacting to a lot, then I would say to you that's a symptom of a lack of emotional intelligence, or low emotional intelligence.
Thank you.
And it does beg the question, doesn't it? What are the signs of low emotional intelligence? What anybody want to jump on the mic and tell us what they think the signs of low emotional intelligence might be?
Insecurity.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. People who are insecure. Say again, Mark.
Politician.
Very good, Mark.
That's the only job that they can do. Yeah. Usually the sign of low emotional intelligence is anger, frustration, low mood, blaming others, not being responsible for their actions or the events around them. Those are all signs of low emotional intelligence, because emotions are catching. And if you're if you're a boss and in a low mood, your team will catch that low mood, as an example. Really good stuff, guys. I want to move on to your amazing brain. Some facts about your amazing brain. I think you're probably all familiar with this picture. Anybody who hasn't seen this picture and who would like to tell me what do you see when you look at this picture?
Apparently it's called a Gestalt shift. That type of picture, Gestalt shift. I found out what it's called. There, thank you.
A Gestalt, like in Gestalt therapy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm there. We're learning from each other. Fantastic. So this is a famous picture of sketch by Toulouse-Lautrec, who was dumped by his young girlfriend, and he drew her as an old woman. So many people see just the young woman, but if you look closer, you'll see an old woman looking slightly towards us and down. And And our brains are so fantastic. We have these mental filters in our brain that delete or distort events and pictures like this, but events in our lives, and in the blink of an eye, faster than the eye can blink, it will delete and distort things. Some amazing brain facts. We have over 86 billion neurons. I've no idea how they got to this number, because I would imagine it takes pretty much a lifetime to count to 86 billion, but there we go. Our brains take up 20% of all our energy requirements in the body, and yet is only 2% in weight. And the final fact I want to give you is that we have over 70,000 thoughts per day. Many of them are, of course, very repetitive, and many of them could be negative. And by the end of today, I want to demonstrate to you how your thoughts lead to your outcomes, and give you evidence of how that is happening. In our one-day workshop that we're running soon, I'm not sure I've mentioned it, on the 17th of December, only a few weeks away, we will go into a lot more detail here than here, but here I just want to show you a very simple makeup of the brain. You have the limbic system, which is the ancient part of the brain, which communicates with the frontal lobe, which is known as the modern brain. And it's these two areas, and the way in which they communicate is the source of our emotional intelligence, or EQ, emotional quotient, as we have there. The third area is the parietal system, and this is like the hard drive of the brain, where all our memories are stored. And neuroscience is telling us, the research is telling us, that actually this parietal system stores literally everything. So everything that you've seen and everything you've experienced in your life since you've been born is stored in those 86 billion neurons somewhere within the parietal system. I want to talk to you about the EQ tree, which these are all the skills within emotional intelligence, and I've taken this from a fantastic book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, Travis Bradbury. And the neat thing about this tree is the concept of the tree is, if you develop only just one or two areas of the tree, you develop other areas as well. And so as we develop certain parts of our emotional intelligence, other parts of our emotional intelligence competencies also rise too, which I think is a pretty neat thing. Let's move on specifically to the 5 core competencies. And you can see them there: self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills, and self-awareness. Using the chat function again, I'm going to test you again. Can you describe this self-regulation? It is the ability to what? What is it the ability to do?
Regulate your emotions.
Yes. Yeah. Anything else?
I was going to say control behavior, which is the same, I suppose.
Well, it may be. It's to control our impulses and moods, isn't it? Yeah. Control our impulses and moods, and therefore our behavior. Absolutely right. Motivation. Anybody want to give a definition or the ability of motivation? Drive. Yeah. Very good. Thank you, Mark. The need to pursue goals with energy and persistence. And of course, we can measure these things. Empathy, get up and go. Thanks, Baz. Or are you getting up and going? No, you're not. No. the ability to understand the emotional makeup of others. And that's really important, isn't it, when we're dealing with people, to understand what's driving them and what's driving their behavior. And social skills, proficiency in managing relationships and building networks. And finally, self-awareness. And self-awareness is really where I want to dig a bit deeper and to just explore one area of self-awareness. So self-awareness is understanding our moods, emotions, drives, and effect on others. And of course, self-awareness is really the key that unlocks all the other competencies as well. So normally we would start here with somebody in their how aware are they in their journey in emotional intelligence, because that, if I'm unaware, it's going to be difficult to really discover new areas in the other competencies as well. So just one area that I want to talk about today is, so you just saw a very quick slide there. I'm going to show it again. And what I want you to do is get onto the chat box and tell me what this slide says. Are you ready? There we go. That's it. That's all you get. What did that slide say? Paris in the spring, Lou. Thank you. Any other takers? Does everybody agree with that? Paris in the spring? Same, Baz? Nope, but I know it. Thank you, Magda. Yeah, all right. Let me, I like New York in June. Thank you, Mark. That's very helpful. Very helpful indeed. Paris in the spring. Our brains are so fabulous that within the brain, there are what we call mental filters. And these mental filters delete or distort the event. So the event of you reading Paris in the spring, your brain, quicker than it takes to blink an eye, deleted the second the, because it doesn't exist in our language. And that's what, when we're, in order to increase our emotional intelligence and particularly self-awareness, we have to be aware of things like blind spots. And you'll know that blind spots, people have blind spots about their own behavior and communication, and they're completely unaware because the brain deletes it as a memory or deletes it as an event, whatever the event is for them, where they are unaware, because of a belief. And you won't change many people's behavior until you get underneath the bonnet of the brain to have a go at somebody's beliefs, so that their brain is no longer deleting or distorting things, which will then change their behavior. I want to talk to you about the self-talk cycle. We mentioned before that your brain is generating 70,000 thoughts per day. So being aware of our self-talk is a great start in order to change people's behavior. Our self-talk leads to our self-image compared to an event. And our self-image leads to an anticipation of the future, which can either be optimistic or pessimistic, which leads to behavior which can be proactive or reactive. And let me give you some hard evidence where self-talk leads to positive outcomes. We have self-talk, which leads to self-image. Muhammad Ali was known, his self-image was known as, what was he known as? What did he call himself? Anybody? He used to say, "I am the greatest." His self-image was, "I am the greatest." His self-talk, of course, is completely positive. His anticipation of the future, you get the future you anticipate. And his anticipation of the future, he talked about when he prepares for a world championship boxing match, he plays the video of the boxing match over and over and over in his mind until he knows that's how it's going to go. And then that's when he makes a prediction. And he was famous for making predictions in front of the camera the week before a world heavyweight championship fight. And he would make a prediction and he put it in rhyme. He would say he's going to hit the floor in 4, or he's going to take a dive in 5. And he predicted 17 out of 20 of his own world championship boxing matches, not only that he would win, but the round in which he won. 17 out of 20. He called it, "I create my own future history." He was a little known fact, he was the first boxer to use trash talk in the weigh-in. And in his first heavyweight championship fight against Sonny Liston, the world champion, he swept aside all the paperwork and everything on the desk, and he threatened the world champion, Sonny Liston. He said, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you," like that. And everybody was amazed. Sonny Liston, he was known for his haymaker punches. When he walked into a ring, the boxing match never used to last for very long, because as soon as he landed with one of his haymaker punches, that was pretty much the end of the fight. However, when he was asked about that moment, because he lost the match against Muhammad Ali, but when he was asked about the moment when he was threatened by him at the weigh-in, he said, "To be honest, I was thinking that I was climbing in the ring with a madman, because only a madman would threaten me." But his behavior when he got into the ring, instead of throwing his haymaker punches, he was reactive. He stood in the middle of the ring waiting for Muhammad Ali to do something. And in the 5th round, he dropped his guard and Muhammad Ali stepped in and punched his lights out. It wasn't much of a boxing match up to that point. But instead of being proactive and throwing haymaker punches, he ended up being reactive, waiting for him to do something. So that's clear evidence of our self-talk leading to an anticipation of the future, which is optimistic, leading to behavior, which is proactive. And of course, for Sonny Liston, the opposite was true, where his anticipation of the future was pessimistic and his behavior was reactive. We have thoughts which lead to feelings, which then lead to behavior, which then leads to our results. If you're not getting the results you want, then change your thoughts, because you will change how you feel and you will change your behavior. And of course, you will get the results you want. Thank you very, very much. That's the end of the presentation as such.